The funeral is closed casket. Of course, it is. No one should see what was done to Paul. No one should have to picture the bloated, rotting husk that had once been a good man, left to decompose in a piss-stained apartment like trash. They get to sit here in their neat black clothes, listening to the priest's empty words, pretending they're mourning. But he found Paul. He smelled the decay, stepped through the filth, saw the rats that had chewed his flesh. Not them. Not these so-called friends who weep quietly into their hands, who whisper regrets that mean nothing. Aikin sits in the back, arms crossed, his face blank. He listens to Xavier talk about how Paul believed in people. How Paul saved him. How Paul never gave up on anyone. Except this time, Xavier says, voice cracking. We weren't there for him. Aikin's jaw tightens. He hears the guilt, the regret. It doesn't impress him. Vivian speaks next. She tells them Paul promised her things. That he was supposed to be at her wedding, that he was supposed to meet her kids one day. She cries about how she should have called him that night. About how maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't be in that coffin if she had. Aikin doesn't move. Regret is useless now. Shania steps up, sniffling, talking about how Paul saved her. How he helped her climb out of the hole she had dug for herself. She says, he fought for me, even when I couldn't fight for myself. Aikin almost laughs. And when he needed someone? Where the hell were you? No one in this room had fought for Paul. They had let him walk into hell, day after day, while they reaped the benefits of his kindness. He carried their pain, their burdens, their sins. And when the weight became too much, they let him fall. They are all cowards. Aikin watches them bow their heads, avoiding his gaze. They know. They know that if it weren't for him, Paul would still be rotting in that room. If it weren't for him, no one would have gone looking. They would have let him vanish, let him fade into an ugly rumor. And now, they sit here crying, ashamed, not because Paul is dead, but because Aikin found out what kind of people they really are. The funeral ends, and Aikin endures the small gathering that follows. Cheap coffee. Stale pastries. Weak apologies disguised as conversation. Then the tension breaks. Arguments erupt. Paul shouldn't have been alone. Then why the hell was he? We all could have done more. Aikin stays silent. He watches as the guilt turns into rage, as these people begin to tear at each other. But no one speaks to him. They don't dare. They know what he would say. That Paul wasted his life on them. That the second he died, everything he worked for started crumbling. That this was always going to be the outcome, because this is what happens to good men. The world swallows them whole. Aikin has had enough. He stands, turns, and walks away. He doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't look back. He hopes to never see them again, because if he does, he might just kill every last one of them. But this isn't over. The person who left Paul to rot is still out there. Aikin is going to find them. And when he does, they won't get a funeral.